I'm here in Medjugorje and I'm with, what's your name?
Kristen.
And where are you from?
Trinidad and Tobago.
I hear the accent so lovely. And I won't stop the interview, it will be 3 hours just to hear your accent. And tell me, you are the second time here in Medjugorje.
Yes.
And why did you come back?
So I was here in May and I was here for 4 days with my whole family. And it was so remarkable, the whole experience. There's no denying that Mary is here. Like, I'm young, so I wouldn't say that I like to party and stuff. I'm more of an introvert, and I was very excited to come here and just have time for myself. So the 4 days that I spent here was just incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is my favorite
Yes, the
iced coffee,
no?
yeah.
We make some promotion for Cafe Grace. We're here in Cafe Grace and the best iced coffee, and the waiters are nice.
Yes.
Yeah?
So the 4 days that I spent here, it was so remarkable, and just, I mean, everybody talks about the peace that you feel here, but I think it is really something that you have to come and experience. And what was the most striking about this place was seeing the families, the young families at Adoration. And I'm a preschool teacher, so seeing the little toddlers being able to be children during Adoration and during Mass, and seeing how dedicated they are already from 2 years old was just mind-blowing. So I felt as if I didn't have enough time. 4 days was just not enough, and I said to myself, okay, I have to come back at some point. And now it's a miracle that I was able to come back so soon, less than a year, because as a preschool teacher, you don't make any money. You know, you have to really love what you do, and I think it's a calling. So financially, I was thinking, I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. I also don't want to travel by myself. This is my first time traveling solo, as in without my parents and my sister. So I was a little bit nervous. Anyway, we fast forward and I am talking to my mum about, Mum, I really feel like Mary's calling me back. I don't know why she's calling me back. I don't know what for, but I just really, in my heart, I really want to go back. So this day we were talking all about it. We went to Mass, and then my dad walks in the house and he goes, Living Waters Community is going to Medjugorje in September again with a whole flyer. So my mum and I looked at each other, because there's no way my dad would have heard us speaking about this. You know, we were speaking over lunch together, and so we were like, oh my gosh, that's, you know, a calling definitely from Mary. And then we had a Thanksgiving Mass on the following Saturday, and I said, okay, Mary, just give me one piece of confirmation that you really are calling me to sign on to this pilgrimage, because I'm very nervous to go on my own, very. And that Saturday, well, let me backtrack a little bit. That week, I kept hearing something in me saying, drop everything and follow me, as in Jesus. Drop everything and follow me. And Saturday comes along, and in Mass, Father Mike, the first thing that he says in his homily, drop everything and follow Jesus. And I got goosebumps, and my mom looked at me and she was like, this is, you have to go now, right? So I signed on, and now comes the part of finances. How is that gonna happen? So I worked, and then I thought to myself, okay, I'll do a summer camp. And now luckily I have the most incredible, loving parents. And I got 4 kids to start the camp off with, and I prayed to Mary. I said, I need more, because I really don't know. I don't know how else I'm going to make it. She sent 4 more children, so it was 8 children. I got offered to do another camp, and then on top of that too, I got offered to go and work with other children. And so by the end of summer, and by the end of endless hours and endless preparation of work, I came up with the exact number to come back here.
Wow.
And it doesn't end there. Like I said, I was very, very nervous traveling. I have a fear of flying, and it's a fear where, so Trinidad, we have Tobago, where it's like a 15-minute flight, and one time a flight attendant was like, she thought that I was gonna faint. Like, I have a very hard time flying. So I prayed a lot, and I said, please, I had family members praying for me too, because I'd booked everything, and I said, please let this be a very peaceful experience. I am very nervous. It's my first time traveling alone as well. I usually don't sleep the night before a flight. The night before, I had the most peaceful sleep. I woke up, and even in the airport, I was so at peace. I could not believe how calm I was. And then on the plane, sometimes when you're coming into London, it can be there's quite a lot of turbulence. There was no turbulence. It was honestly a miracle that was my experience traveling. And then the flight from London, we had to get a flight to Bosnia, and I was really nervous about that, because that flight can be quite have a lot of turbulence. Again, smooth. So that in itself has just been amazing, really and truly.
Wow, and now you are here the second time?
Yeah.
And if you compare what happened the first time when you came in May, you said?
Yeah. So the first time I felt as if I came with a lot of questions, and Mary gave me a very powerful message that was, it is not your job to convert hearts, it is mine. Your job is to lead by example. And that answered every single question. I came with a list, but that answered every single question of mine. And since that trip, I would say, it was like 4 months ago, as soon as I got home, everything changed, A lot of people weren't in my life anymore, and I still love them, but Mary really has put me in such a beautiful position now. And so now this experience, I didn't come with questions, but I more came for like healing, from just people that I've lost, and just feeling that I just want to be more independent and grow in my faith. And this experience has been very touching as well. Mary has sent a lot of people for me to pray for, and I eventually asked her like what specifically to pray for, and I had one amazing miracle happen where I went to, where they light the candles?
Yeah, the Christ with the candles?
Yes, and it's €1 for a candle, and I have like €20. I said, I don't want to put €20. So I said, Mary, if somehow there is €1 in my wallet for this person, if you really want me to light a candle and pray for this person, please, if it's really from you. I put my hand in my pocket, pulled out a coin, and exactly €1. So I said, okay, that's a sign. So I went and I prayed adoration. I mean, I haven't stopped crying, but not tears of sadness or joy, just peace. I just have not stopped crying,
Called the grace of tears, no? It's liberating, it's freeing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's the second time now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had a funny experience after adoration the other night. I went into a store, and the lady was she looked at me and she was like, "Are you okay?" Because I forgot that I had makeup on, and I black mascara running down, and she's like, "You sad?" And I was like, no, I just came from adoration." And she nodded because she realized it's just so common here. So she said, "Come, wipe your face," and she gave me wipes. And even I think it's the veneration of the cross. There was a young lady sitting next to me, and we were both crying. And she looked at me and she gave me tissues. And it's the kindness of the people here. I noticed in May, but this time, it's nothing like I've ever experienced. Everybody is so attentive to one another, and I really do feel that's Our Lady's work here, you know?
It is, because people, it's about the heart, no? The
Yes,
soul,
yeah.
to change
Yeah.
our trajectory of life,
Yeah,
get connected to God,
yeah.
and you pray the rosary.
Yes, yeah, I
are you so
definitely.
convinced?
Huh?
Why are you so convinced?
Oh, because I think that I pray Mary Undoer of Knots. In May, when I came back to Trinidad, I started that novena, and that undid so many things that I didn't even know had to be undone. That is the most powerful novena, and that was my first novena, so I know I have so many others, but I prayed that before this trip too, you know. And the rosary has just been it's like a safety blanket, you know. Our mother really looks out for us, and even like Apparition Hill, that's one of my favorite spots, because you really do feel her presence, and I was uncontrollably crying because this time I didn't feel healing. Instead, I felt so much love, to the point where I thought, oh my goodness, like I might pass out. Like, I didn't realize that somebody could feel this amount of love, and said, far less for when we get to heaven. How are we gonna like cope, because it's so much love she has for us. So
As she says, you will cry.
yeah,
tears
tears.
of-
Yeah.
Because you are so loved. If you knew how much I love you,
Do.
you know? And God
Yeah.
knows, she's a representative of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people are ticked off. They think God the Father is an angry old man with a white beard. He wants to judge and put us to hell, and he's not. Explained.
No, he's not. It's interesting you say that, because I've had many conversations with people who have this image of God, this God who's gonna strike you down, and he can, but he won't. He won't. He loves you so much, and I think nowadays there's a lot of talk about right from wrong, and to not be tolerant with certain things that go against our faith. And as much as I understand that, I think that there are some Catholics that need to also understand that you don't have to tolerate it, but you have to meet people with the same love and compassion.
Like here in Medjugorje, you know?
Yes, the same love and compassion, no matter what they look like, no matter their way of life. You may not have to accept it, or you shouldn't accept, certain things, but meeting everybody with that love and compassion, because that's what Our Lady wants. Jesus did not, in my opinion at least, Jesus did not only sit with saints, he sat with sinners. He spent a lot of time with sinners. And we need to remember that as Catholics, that yes, we have our rules and our regulations and our guidelines, but meet everybody with love and compassion.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
That is God the Father. He's
Yeah.
pure, endless love.
He's our Father. He wants to love us, He does not want to see us hurt,
But a lot of people are, they come from divorced families.
Yeah.
Something happened in their life. What would you tell them how to get to that love, to experience that?
I think that you have to ask yourself, how do I forgive? Because I think that in that situation there are a lot of people where divorce is necessary because of whatever's going on, or maybe an annulment is necessary, right? And the ones that really suffer are the children. And so what I would say to the children, because I'm a preschool teacher as well, is learn to forgive, which takes true grace. And the only way to get that is to pray to Our Lady and to Saint Anne. And of course, Jesus, because he can
Why
heal.
Saint Anne?
Well, Saint Anne is she's a saint of like families and like fertility, and I pray a lot to her.
Saint Anne?
Yes, I pray a lot to her.
Talk about Saint Anne. Uh-huh.
Really? No, there's a funny prayer or rhyme that goes, Saint Anne, find me a good man. So when you're looking for a husband, you know, you say that prayer. So
I try it out.
but
The
yeah.
wife as well, Saint Anne? Or
Yes,
Saint
for wife as
Joachim?
well.
So Saint Joachim?
Oh, maybe, I don't know much about
Anne
it.
and Saint
But
Joachim.
Saint Anne, you know,
Yeah.
and that's Mary's mother.
Yeah.
So it's like generations of just prayer. And yeah, so that's what I would say, you know, learn to forgive, and the only way through forgiveness is through asking, how do I forgive? And also just praying that you have an encounter with God and Our Lady, because what I'm starting to realize, and I hope by the end of this week it's gonna be completed, is those 4 days in May that I spent was me getting to know Our Lady, and now I feel like she is taking me on a journey towards her son. So it's a very different experience, but beautiful.
Can you describe a wedding experience? Or you're still in the process?
It's challenging because, again, unless you experience that encounter with her, it feels as if you don't deserve her love. And that in itself is so humbling and healing, because you really can't fathom how much she loves you and how much her son loves you. Like today I did Cross Mountain, and we did the Stations of the Cross, and one of these stations, I can't remember which one, but spoke a lot about when you feel very lonely. That Jesus felt very lonely during his life. He felt very, very, very alone, and he turned, you know, he's God, but he also turned to God, and he turned to prayer. And I think in times when you feel that loneliness, because I experienced that before me, I never felt that lonely in my life. I felt like nobody could listen to me. I also did not want to talk about it because it's something that is so private and personal, you know. And when you turn to him, when you turn to Christ, when you're alone, it takes a while, but you get comfort in the end. And then to speed up that process, go to Our Lady, and she takes it all to him, you know. So yeah.
Amazing. And so you talk to him like to a friend?
Yes, that's another thing that I had a conversation with somebody about. I said, you know, you don't always, I mean, it's beautiful to read the very long prayers, but it's also okay throughout the day to say, you know, Jesus, X, Y, and Z is happening, you know. I mean, that's kind of most of my prayers. When I sit in adoration or Blessed Sacrament, I'm usually yapping his ear off. I'm very like, but I can't believe that this happened to me, or why did you let this happen? And, you know, I talk to him like that, and I find oftentimes when you do speak in that way to Our Lady and Jesus, they respond faster, because it's as if they're right there with you. You know,
authentic from the heart. That's Our Lady teaching.
Correct. Yeah.
From the heart. No theater. No game
No.
playing, just honestly.
And also, I also feel like, hey, you feel like a little child when you're in her presence. You really do. Like, you know, I have my little tantrums with her, and she corrects me. You know, like a true mother. But you do feel you feel like your innocence kind of returns to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, in my generation and the times that we're living in now, it is very challenging. It is very, very challenging. Even places where you feel it's very like holy and sacred, there are still people there that are very lost. And it's challenging as a young person, I think, to be outspoken about it, because you get made fun of a lot. And it's funny, since I started this journey, you know, a lot of people are like, oh gosh, Kristen, she's a Jesus freak now, or look at her, she's so extreme. And that does hurt. But I think what helps me is just knowing that I have something now that I hope to never let go of, which is my faith. Like, I don't know how people go through life without prayer and knowing that God is right there by their sides and Our Lady. I really can't fathom that.
What happened to you that you are so involved in the Catholic faith? There must have been
A
something
formation. I think that, like, my parents, I was born and raised Catholic, and my parents, they let me go out on my own and make my own decisions because they have faith in God that I will return even if I get lost. And that in itself is powerful. So when you have parents who allow you to do that and also just bring you up, how do I say this? Like, my parents never told me your God is going to punish you. That was never, the first time I honestly heard about that was just from, like, being around other Catholics that were brought up in that way, and that is fine in itself. Everybody has their own way of thinking, but for me, I was brought up with looking at Jesus as a friend,
That's how he is. That's the truth.
Yeah, and a father and somebody who wants to love you unconditionally. So I think being brought up like that helped, and then I think what honestly made me want to go to Mass and see it in more of a this is good for me and not just, oh gosh, Mass,
I have to go.
yes, is May, coming here in May. That changed, like, it changed my whole perspective on my faith.
Why did it change? Can you describe why you go to Mass now?
I always used to go to Mass, but why I would say I'm more involved,
From the heart?
Yes, from the heart. I would say because I got to experience Our Lady's love. I got to experience her just tenderness, but also
The firmness. She's firm also, not?
very, she corrects you. But what is nice too is, I think because I teach little ones and I love them so much, I kind of see Our Lady treats me that same way. And I thought to myself, if I am able to love all these children that aren't even mine, far less for Our Lady, how much she loves me and how much she loves them and everybody. And so when I experienced that, even in May, which I'm now remembering, Apparition Hill, I cried, and I noticed Our Lady has a very lovely way of pointing things out to you. I noticed this little girl, she was being carried. She's like, I want to say 2 years old, and was crying and speaking to her mother, and then settled down once she saw Our Lady, the statue of Our Lady. And then when she was leaving, she said, "Bye, Mama," and I started sobbing because even though she didn't speak English, but you could clearly see that she saw and I just, that broke me, because it was like, my dream has always been to be a mother and to have children, and I would just love for them in the future to see Our Lady as that, because I found it took me a long time. I always saw her as somebody very powerful and beautiful, but I never would pray to her so intensely, and never really, I would kind of disregard her, because, the focus is a lot on Jesus, and it should be, and she tells you that, but what a lot of people, I think is that we worship her. We don't worship her. We go to her so that she can take us to her Son. That is the key ingredient, I think, to, being really rich in your faith.
Man, so beautiful what you say. And you know, confession is very important in Medjugorje.
Yes, yeah.
What would you tell people, young people, why not to be scared?
Well, I'm scared. I was very scared of confession. And here, a funny story is, I was leaving a restaurant and I said, this is another little, I find Our Lady and Jesus, they have a sense of humor, So I said, if you really want me to go confession, just, if the line is too long, I'm not going, I'm going tomorrow. As I turn the church corner, there's only 2 people in the English speaking line. Only 2 people. So I said, okay, I laughed so hard because it was like, I'm going. But I think the key thing about confession is finding the right priest. And even if you don't have a good experience with one, that doesn't mean all are like that, Father Leon gave a very good piece of advice. I hope I'm saying it correctly, but he spoke about making it also short and simple. Like, it doesn't have to be a conversation, If you say, well, I told my mother this and this is what I actually did, and you could just say, I lied, I gossiped. You could make it very short. You don't even have to say names, and that has really helped me, and it also makes you open up a little bit more. So, yeah.
Wow, beautiful. And what is the effect of
confession?
How do
You feel
after?
clean. You feel like you've not only taken like a deep everything shower, but you just feel clean. You feel like your conscience is also clear. And also it makes more room for you to receive Jesus, whether that's in the Eucharist or just spiritually. It creates that space mentally as well. So I'm going back to confession today for sure. I want to go before I leave as well. And Medjugorje is the place of confession, So.
And our faith states when we went to confession, we are in a state of grace, we can receive the Eucharist. It seems a lot of people don't understand what is the Eucharist. Can you explain?
I can try, but it's the body of Christ. It really is. It's not just this bread. It's very challenging to explain because, again, it's something that you have to experience, and it's also consistent. Like, for example, if you start working out, the next day you're not gonna see abs and a toned body. Like, it's consistent. So if you go to Blessed Sacrament consistently, adoration consistently, the chances get higher and higher that you do experience an encounter with him, And so that has been very, very powerful. And, even here, the adoration is just, I just can't believe it. In May I was shocked, and even here, the amount of people that show up for Jesus is so incredible. And I think that that's why it also makes it so hard to leave here. Because even when you are on the bus on the way out, you feel Our Lady pulling you. I mean, at least I do. You feel her pulling you back into the center of the church, And of course, they're all over. Mary is all over in every country, and Jesus is everywhere as well. But there's just something very special about her,
Wow, unbelievable what you're saying. And you made the experience. Look, you make me cry. Stop it. What are you doing? Just take some coffee. Cool down.
No, I cried a lot.
I've seen it. Me too. It changed my life.
Yeah.
This place changed my life. That's why I'm doing this now.
Mm-hmm.
And and what would you tell people? Did you make the experience when you live, thy will be done with the intention to want to live in the divine will, that you are more in peace and more in joy? Did you ever make that experience?
As in surrendering?
Yeah, to surrender, exactly.
So it's very funny that you say that, because the week before and this week I kept saying thy will be done. Because it's very hard for us to surrender. We like to be in control of our life, but I'm telling you, when you are in control of your life, that is when mass chaos happens.
Yes.
When you are able to just say, I'm giving you this, all of a sudden things start to work out. And especially this trip, you know, I said, I'm giving you this situation, and I'm giving you a few situations because it's hard for me to let go, but I need you to help me to let go, you know, whether it's forgiving somebody, whether it's, is this the right choice, should I be in this situation? And I got a lot of clear signs so far that where I am right now is where I need to be, you know. I still have so many questions, but I'm also praying for the grace to not
To be patient.
yes, to be patient.
now.
Because I'm not good with patience. I'm very I want things my way and I want it now, you know.
Me too.
So yeah.
And is there anything general why you're Catholic? What is so beautiful about being Catholic?
I think it's different from a lot of the other religions where there is a God that loves you unconditionally. So you're not reliant on yourself, you're reliant on Him. And even when you stray, and even when you hurt Him in the worst ways, He's still there. Which, that is something in itself that makes me sob when I meditate on that, because, you know, Jesus was a human as well. And so I think it's just still so amazing to think that He, no matter what you do, He is still going to be there for you.
Always the same. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. Just pure
Yeah.
love. Selfless love.
And I think it's important also, this is another thing that in the Stations of the Cross that stood out to me was, you know, a lot of times when we feel like we've done something horrible, we want to isolate. You know, we're ashamed. And instead He says, turn to me. Turn to me. Let me help you carry that cross.
Share.
And that, I think that is something, that message is pushed a lot here, but I think unfortunately in a lot of Catholic communities that message is not pushed enough. It is very much like, you did that, you were in the wrong, you're going to hell. It's very, very rigid, and it's also lacks compassion, whereas here and in other very small communities you read about Jesus saying, no, come to me when you sin, when you do wrong, when you are lost. Come to me, I am here. You know, shame is the most terrible emotion that a human can feel, and it's not of God. Guilt, I think, is I don't know if it's of God, but I think guilt is a better emotion because it shows that you have a very strong moral compass, but shame is not of God. God does not shame. And as a Catholic, if you are shaming somebody, which we're all at fault for, but if you are condemning somebody so heavily, you are playing God. You know?
Yes.
So that's just something to remember, I think, that because I know some people have had terrible experiences with Catholics because they felt like that. But our God, Jesus Christ, He will never condemn you. He will never look at you and say, don't come to me because you are this and that, you know?
This and that,
yeah, but it is important to go to Him. If you don't go to Him, you know, He's kind of like, it's like 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door with your faith. So it's important to go to Him, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing what you're saying. You know? And did you receive a lot of formation? Did you go to catechism classes? How do you have all this knowledge?
My family, you know, my parents, my grandmother, but I also do think that I really feel like I'm an old soul, and I think Our Lady has shown me that, because I struggled with that a lot. I like to have these conversations. I'm not interested in liming and drinking and making a fool of myself. Again, that's not very nice to say because I guess that's judging, but I'm not
Just it's not
I
your
don't
favorite thing to do.
enjoy those things. I enjoy these things, whether there's a camera or not. I enjoy these things, and so I struggled a lot with feeling lonely because I felt like, not that I had wisdom, but I had all of these thoughts that I would love to share and talk with somebody. And Our Lady, you know, she's amazing. So she would send me a lot of the church grannies and a lot of older people, you know, and those become my best friends, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, going out on a night, I'll say, hi auntie, would you like to go for a coffee? And, you know, so I would say it has a lot to do with, it's a combination of just being blessed with Our Lady pouring out her knowledge to me, and then my parents.
Did your parents tell you anything and advice, life advice?
Yeah, also my granny.
Yeah.
My granny, she's a heavy prayer. I think that she has God on speed dial, because whenever she starts to pray, the prayers are answered like immediately, you know. I think grannies have that special gift though. So yeah, no, I don't know, my parents, it's not that they didn't give me advice, but it was more just like they led by example, you know. I saw what's very powerful for me is I have a very strong father, and a lot of men, they don't have faith nowadays.
Yes.
They don't. But growing up seeing him, you know, it's I now I'm older, and I don't take it for granted, because I realize a lot of the people that I know don't have fathers so invested in their faith. And then my mother, you know, she really has taken up the role of wife, in the sense that, you know, I always say that men take a little while to spiritually mature, and the woman's job is to spiritually mature them, right? And the man's job is to support them financially, and also just, you know, protect them. That's what they should do. And so I really saw my mother be patient with my father as well, and also push him in his faith. And I think from seeing that, I don't even think I ever told them this, but I think just from seeing their relationship, that has played a major role in my faith, you know.
What did you see?
Just how they would speak to one another, and they're also, I don't know any other couple that pray together, which is very sad nowadays, but they sit and they pray together. And well, I would say the one piece of advice that my mother did tell me is, when you're looking for a partner, find somebody who will pray with you. And I never really understood that. I never really took it on, but now I understand, because I want my children to not just see their father come on a Sunday to mass and kind of grumble and want to go home. I see my father is active in it, and I want my husband to be very active in his faith as well. I think that is very, I think that the father is the rock of the house, and the mother is the heart of the house. And without the rock, the heart can't stand. And without the heart, the rock can't stand on its own, you know. So they've managed that beautifully.
Wow, so beautiful. And at the end, what would you say people might come to Medjugorje?
Come and experience Our Lady, but also where I always say this is where like heaven meets earth. Like it is so like, even the sky here, like the sky is her blue, you know. It's like just, it's really amazing. I want to move here. I don't want to go back home.
I see, you're passionate.
Yes.
No, this is unbelievable. Yeah. Anything else you would like to say? Maybe greet your dad. We put the video at the end of your dad.
Yes, yeah. Well, I would just ask that anybody who feels like they have a calling, come. You know, pray about it. The finances will come. Everything will work itself out. And also, pray for me. Maybe not to move here, but I would love to work at Mother's Village, the orphanage. I know I would love to volunteer, whether it's admin work, whether it's, now I know I don't know the language, but I've been praying a lot about doing something like that, and I hope that Our Lady, whatever she has in store for me, that she will provide that, or whatever it may look like, because my passion for teaching and just for taking care of babies is so strong, and I just want to extend as much love and nurturing as I can before I have my own kids as well, you know?
And you got a favorite Bible scripture?
No, I need to read my Bible a little more.
No? We are all work in progress.
Yeah,
You know? That's nothing.
yeah,
So-
yeah.
And favorite saint, you said Saint Anne.
Yes, I love Saint
Saint Anne?
Anne, yeah. Saint Anne and Saint Therese. I'm named after Saint Therese.
And
so.
what would you tell young people, young girls, they want to shine them like you? From
Oh
inside
gosh,
out?
thank you.
What would you give them as an advice?
Go to Our Lady, because I think Our Lady, she is the example we should be following. She is the purest femininity you will ever see. And so, you know, there are a lot of rules and regulations about maybe like what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear, all of these things, but the only way to like actually or how to act or how to be with men and all of these things, but the only way to actually like let that sink in is to go to her, and she will show you where to go, you know, as a young woman. You know, that's especially nowadays, you know, a lot of the feminist morals and values, they're not of her, right? And it's not to judge people who have those views, because they do think that they are right, but the devil has a way of making the truth, making something look like the truth when it's not the truth. So just to be aware of that, and just to go to Our Lady for discernment and guidance.
And did you learn here as well to truly love yourself? Because our society always seems to say to us something is wrong with us. And the Catholic faith, that's maybe why Our Lady says, read the Bible, it's neuro-linguistic reprogramming, that we are really loved. You felt it here? Or?
I think that I'm still on that journey. I think that there's a lot of insecurity still in myself, and I think that's deeply rooted in many adults in my life telling me that I'm not smart, telling me that I'm not good enough as a child. And so I think that is still a journey, but what has really helped me is knowing that I actually have Our Lady to go to and Jesus for comfort, and knowing that, again, if I am able to love my students as much as I do, I mean, anytime they graduate, I sob. Far less for the love Our Lady has for me. So that is what kind of helps me with those things. But I think that, you know, for us to truly love and accept ourselves, it takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and it's not to do it alone. Because in this generation, we are taught that we need to have this self-love and self-care, and that is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it makes you your own God. And like I said earlier on, when you are in control, you make a mess of your life. Once you hand that over, and once you allow other people to love you, because it takes a whole combination of things, that's, I think, when you're truly gonna find peace and self-love. So I'm still on that journey, so everybody pray for me as well.
And for me too.
Tom as well.
And we say greetings from Medjugorje.
Yes, greetings from Medjugorje.